Politics, guys, or makes your blood boil. You've probably heard terms like liberal, conservative, socialist, libertarian, authoritarian, but what do these actually mean? Today I'm going to break down the major political ideologies in a simple, unbiased way. By the end, you'll be able to not only understand what they stand for, but you will be able to spot how they show up in the real world. So stick around, and if you like learning about this stuff without the usual yelling and biases, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's make politics actually make sense. First things first, an ideology is basically a framework, a set of beliefs about how society should work, who should hold power, and what role the government has in everyone's lives. Think of it like a pair of glasses. Each ideology is like a different pair of glasses. You put them on, and suddenly the world looks a certain way. Now let's walk through the biggest ones you'll hear about, from left to right and everything in between.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Liberalism. In today's sense, it emphasizes individual rights, democracy, and equality. Liberals usually believe government should step in to fix inequalities like providing healthcare, protecting civil rights, and regulating businesses. For example, the New Deal in the 1930s, the Civil Rights Acts of 1964, and more recently, policies like pushing for affordable healthcare and climate change. The core idea of this ideology is freedom and fairness, with the government helping to level the playing field. Conservatism values tradition, stability, and limited government. Conservatives often argue that the government should stay out of people's lives as much as possible, especially in the economy, and that communities, religions, and families should guide society. Examples of this could be Ronald Reagan's 1980s policies of tax cuts and smaller government, opposition to rapid social changes like same-sex marriage, and another example of this could be support for strong national defense. The core idea of this ideology is to preserve what works, avoid too much government interference, and stick closer to tradition. Socialism is about reducing inequality by giving workers and communities more control over resources. In practice, this can mean higher taxes on the wealthy, universal healthcare, or stronger unions. Examples of this can be countries like Sweden and Norway have strong social safety nets, free education, and free healthcare. In the US, Bernie Sanders pushed for Medicare for all and higher minimum wages. In history, socialism has fueled movements for workers' rights and the 40-hour work week that you have today. The core idea of this is that the economy should serve everyone, not just the wealthy. Communism takes socialism further, aiming for a classless society where everything is collectively owned. The government, at least in practice, controls production, and the idea is that no one owns private property. Real-world examples of this is the Soviet Union under Lenin and Stalin, Cuba under Fidel Castro, and China under Mao, though modern China now mixes in capitalist practices. The core idea of this is that you eliminate inequality by eliminating private ownership. But in practice, it's often led to authoritarian governments and economic struggles. Libertarianism is all about maximum personal freedom. Libertarians believe the government should be as small as possible. No control over your money, your body, or your choices. Examples of this could be Ron Paul's presidential campaigns, pushes to legalize things like marijuana or cryptocurrency. Also, opposition to military intervention overseas. The core idea of this is you do you, and the government should basically leave people alone. I have noticed that a lot of people misunderstand libertarianism a whole bunch. I would be interested in actually making a whole video on it because of all the confusion around it. If you would be interested in that, comment below and let me know. Authoritarianism is the opposite of libertarianism. It's when the government holds strong, centralized power and limits personal freedom. Examples of this one is North Korea, where the government controls nearly every single aspect of life. Another example is dictatorships in history like Mussolini in Italy. Even modern governments with censorship and surveillance like in parts of Russia or China. The core idea of this ideology is that order and control come before freedom. Fascism is a far-right ideology combining nationalism, authoritarianism, and suppression of opposition. It often glorifies one leader, one nation, and seeks to eliminate outsiders. The most infamous example is Nazi Germany under Hitler, but smaller far-right movements today still use fascist symbols and ideas. Core idea: extreme loyalty to nation and leader, no tolerance for opposition. So why does any of this even matter? Because whether you realize it or not, these ideologies shape the laws that you live under, the debates you hear online, and the leaders that you vote for. Understanding them doesn't mean you have to pick one, but it does mean you won't get lost when people throw these words around. You'll know the history, the meaning, and real-world examples, and that makes you harder to manipulate. If this video helped clear things up, hit that like button so more people can see it. And subscribe if you want more videos breaking down complex topics in a way that can actually make sense to you. Because this world is confusing, but the more you can understand, the more power you have.